Hello, welcome back. So let's have a look at Harmoney One. I didn't make a video for the last few days on this one, but what I can say is that we did have a nice boost from it. We had this, from our previous video, we had this idea that this little wedge that we were forming here of lower highs had to be broken at some point, and it would have been broken no later than this crescendo right at the end here. That would have been the turning point. Now, I did think it was actually going to make a lower low, but this one did surprise me, and it boosted, and it did a really decent boost actually. So where we're going to go from here? We're trending alongside Matic. Matic and One are doing the same moves. In fact, they're almost mimicking each other's prices. It's like neck and neck at the moment to see who could overtake the other one. And Harmoney One's doing actually pretty well for itself, but the trend now has begun to look quite similar, and they're kind of making moves together. Now the chart looks different, so really the trend is completely different, but they're beginning to match each other's moves, which is something we're going to have to watch and see how that plays out. In a couple of weeks' time, we'll be able to look at both charts to see how much they do mimic each other, and if they do, that'll add another component to both coins, other than obviously looking at the nature of the market as a whole, governed by Bitcoin. These two might share some kind of relationship with their trend. Anyway, if we were just looking at Harmoney at the moment, what we did is we had this big break out of this, and so we broke our trend, which is great, and we formed a higher high and some lower lows. But then, what do we get? We had sell-off, and that was to be expected anyway. A big move like this, people are going to profit from that. The likelihood of it continuing to go up would be lower than the likelihood of it going back down again, so it would have been a good idea to if you're trading this coin to be selling it and taking some profit, which is obviously what's been happening here. So we had big boosts and big sell-offs, and we came all the way back down to here before we had a bounce. We had a bounce at 2.13 cent. What we're looking at here now then is we're looking to try and get above this 200 EMA. The 200 EMA had a nice little pivot bounce here, but what we need to do is we need to see it steepen. We need to see this curve go up. We need to see it bend upwards, and with a move like this, with a sell-off like this, it looks like it's, unless we make some sizable moves now. I mean, we are at the top of our Bollinger Band already before being bounced back down on the 50 MA. What we're looking to do is hopefully bounce off these moving averages before making another move up. When we look at the indicators, so our MACD does show that there's room for more buying opportunity, so hopefully it will bounce from here and make another sizable gain. Like I said, for the Matic coin and pretty much any sort of unless you're in the sort of top 5, top 10 alts, they're all going to really suffer, generally speaking, because Bitcoin's sucking the blood out of all these alts, and fair play to it really, because people see its strength, they know its targets. They've got some great analysts out there that have all made relatively predictable, I say predictable, but relatively reliable predictions that we're likely to make it to 10 and beyond. So people are looking to hold on to their Bitcoin until they break that 10, and maybe when the 10 happens, there'll be a big bump before a collapse. That's the general consensus with Bitcoin. So yeah, a lot of the money's been taken out of coins like this. People have profited here, and they've probably put their money into Bitcoin, Ethereum, those sort of things, waiting for that next big push. Just to wrap it up, we need to bounce from these moving averages here, so we really need to bounce above. We can't really go any lower than 2.2 cent. We need to bounce from there. If we could bounce from there, then there's a chance that we could start to perhaps maybe make up some of these losses. If we do fall back down to there and fall back down 2.2, it would be the same story as where I saw us before. We'll probably find support around just above 2.1, and if that fails, then we're back down to 2 cent and maybe lower. The problem being that when money's been taken out of these coins going into Bitcoin, the moves will be smaller, and when Bitcoin collapses, all the money will come out of sort of Bitcoin, go into USDT and other stable coins, and they won't be going back into things like One and other coins like that. They just won't. So all the coins will fall with Bitcoin. So it's a bit of a bit one of those things. You're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. Really, it's going to be a tough ride really for these sort of coins, unless we find Bitcoin plateaus and stabilizes and trends sideways, for a week or two. That would give these coins another chance to make a move. But without that, we're probably going to find our way either trending sideways or down. Anyway, just to wrap it up, looking for a bounce at 2.2. If we bounce from there and break above this Bollinger Band, then we could reach back up to 2.4. But the likelihood is we're probably going to bounce from here, trend sideways, and probably go down again. But I stand corrected if it does the opposite. Anything is possible, but that's how I see it. We're in a small trading range here of really a very small trading range of basically 0.7 of a cent really. It's got to make its mind up. But the MACD did say that it's got some buying room, so we might see an uptrend before we see another sell-off. It's not really begun an actual trend yet. We have broken out of this downwards trend, but we've not created any kind of bullish trend. It's very early days. We need this 200 EMA to bend, and we're not going to bend unless we make higher highs than this. And I find that prospect quite unlikely, so I think we're going to fall back down again. Anyway, thank you for watching. Stay tuned for more. Have a nice day. Take it easy.